Hi everyone, my name is Emily Braithwaite. I am a faculty research assistant at Oregon State University. And today I want to talk to you about anthracnose on annual bluegrass putting greens and one of the summer research trials that we conducted. But first though, let's get a little refresher on how anthracnose manifests. Anthracnose is considered a weak pathogen, and it will preferentially infect turfgrass that has been weakened through either physiological or mechanical means. We typically will find this disease on areas of the golf course that are under low fertility, suffering from high temperature stress, low mowing, poor drainage, compaction, high humidity, and shade. Although I'm focusing on the summer development of anthracnose, it's important to note that it can develop over a whole range of temperatures. In fact, our temperate winter climate in the Pacific Northwest means that we can find anthracnose year-round on our putting greens. The basal rot symptoms that occur at cooler temperatures are often the result of poor control of anthracnose in the summertime. For our summer trial symptoms, they generally will begin as a foliar chlorosis or yellowing at the leaf tips, and that then moves down the plant, which eventually becomes necrotic. With a small hand lens, you can pull out some of those tillers and observe those black spore-like structures, those acervuli, which you can see in these pictures here. So let's take a look at the research green and we can talk about some of the treatments in this trial, with entries sponsored mainly from Intelligro and AMVAC. This green that we have is a native soil-based push-up green, which was established with cores from Eugene Country Club. And the disease pressure started slowly in this area, but as we've moved further into the summer, late August and early September, we're starting to see an increase. And typically, peak of disease for us occurs in late August, early September. Here we have an overview of the treatment entries for this trial. We have Premion at varying rates, which is PCMB with tebuconazole, plus a pigment, PAR. Next we have Ortalis, which is PCMB alone with that same pigment. We have a fungicide rotation program from AMVAC, Intelligro's mineral oil Civitas, a fertility program that rotates between a complete fertilizer from Anderson's and ammonium sulfate, a combination of that fertility program and Civitas, and then finally our OSU fungicide program with either the mineral oil or Simplot's pigment Ambient Plus. When we take a look at the ratings from early August, you can see that overall the disease pressure is still fairly low in the non-treated, which only averages about 3% disease. As I said before, our peak of disease, it occurs usually in late August into early September. So we expect to see this increase and show some more separation between these treatments. We are observing a rate effect from the Premion product, and as we are increasing our rate of Premion, we're showing a decrease in disease. But we have observed phytotoxic effects from the tebuconazole that's applied in this product, with all three Premion treatments showing some level of phyto from those continued applications across the summer. This is just a good reminder to avoid DMIs in peak summer. Ortalis, which is PCMB alone, did not have this phytotoxic effect, and when you compare this rate of PCMB with the rate of PCMB in Premion, you find that the Ortalis suppressed disease a little bit better than that equivalent rate in Premion. Most of our experience applying Civitas mineral oil has been with Dr. Clint Mattox's research on Microdochium patch. We applied it weekly in this trial, and it did show some reduction in disease compared to the non-treated, but the control was very similar to the fertilizer rotation applied alone every 2 weeks. When Civitas was combined with the fertilizer rotation, we saw an almost synergistic effect, and disease was reduced more than either product applied alone. There did not appear to be a difference between Ambient Plus and Civitas when applied with a fungicide rotation, with both controlling disease compared to the non-treated control, but we did observe that the plot quality was slightly increased in those Civitas plots. The AMVAC fungicide rotation had very good disease control compared to the non-treated. It averaged about 0.4% disease in this trial, and this gives you an overview of the included products in the program and some of those dates that they were applied. The OSU fungicide rotation and dates applied is shown here, and when we speak to superintendents about creating a spray program for anthracnose, we'll sometimes show them our sample programs, but we include the column on chemical class, which is here on the right, because that's the part we like to focus on most for superintendents. It's really important to change up the chemical class between applications to reduce resistance issues. So we encourage them to focus more on this side of the table than specific products that we're applying. Applying a DMI is very effective either early or late in your program to avoid any potential growth regulating effects from strong DMIs in peak summer heat. We now have a newer tool that we can add to our Anthracnose program with Max Teamer, which is a DMI that can be applied in the summertime without the growth regulating effects that are typical with that chemical class. Our recommendations, however, are still to keep a minimum of at least 4-week intervals when applying DMI fungicides. Although the focus for this trial was just on the summer anthracnose, I find it's really important to understand that we deal with many different diseases in the Pacific Northwest, and most of them will overlap with one another. So when it comes to building a successful spray program, it's really important to target more than just one disease. And a perfect example of this for us in the Pacific Northwest are the shoulder seasons in spring and fall. So for example, in April and May, we're dealing with any latent microdochium patch, we're dealing with yellow patch, fairy ring, early onset of anthracnose. So selecting a product that has activity on more than just one of those diseases is critical. On the other side of the season, in September, October, our concerns are residual anthracnose, making sure that we control that before going into the winter. We see yellow patch popping up again. It's prime time for fall dollar spot, and it's also a good timing for that early first application for microdochium patch. So again, it's really important to select products that have activity on more than one disease when you're building out your program, and that's how you're going to have much more success. With that, I would like to thank our trial sponsors Intelligrow and AMVAC, and if you have any more questions for me, I've included my contact information. And don't forget that we have our Zoom Q&A on Wednesday, September 2nd, 9 a.m. Pacific time. You can find that Zoom link at beaverturf.com.